you going to tell us tonight?
Tonight, we're going to hear a story about the Pilgrims.
And Thanksgiving.
That's part of it, but a small part. Really, our story tonight is about a spark of hope. Hope for something new. It begins long ago in England, a land ruled harshly by King James and his church. There, a small band of ordinary people started to feel something extraordinary burning in their hearts. You see, they saw great discrepancies.
What are discrepancies?
Discrepancies are things that don't line up. They saw the words and the actions of their so-called church, and then they read about the life of the church in the Bible, in the book of Acts, and it didn't line up. They started to be bonded together. They longed for something pure, something true, something new. And then they read about the first church in the Bible, in the book of Acts, and they realized what they longed for wasn't new. It was something old, the original pattern. And they would do anything to see that life restored.
Here, read this verse in Acts 2:44.
Those are the words they read.
And all who believed were together and had all things in common.
Okay, and now you read this in verse 32.
Now the full number of those who believed were of one heart and soul, and no one said that any of the things that belonged to him was his own, but they had everything in common.
So the people in our story, they were bonded together by that hope, that life could and should be the reality of the church again. We call these people pilgrims, but they, at that time in England, called themselves separatists.
Why separatists?
Because they believed that they had to separate themselves from the Church of England. Now, that doesn't sound so drastic to us, but at that time, to think that thought and to say that to anybody else would be considered a crime, punishable by prison or worse. Imagine if you were one of those children, not knowing at any time if your father could be taken to prison just because of what he believed.
I would want to get out of there quick.
These are days when everything you feel and say may come back and cause you grief. These are days when you can be a criminal just because of your belief. Thoughts can cause you many troubles. Thoughts can cost your very life. When your thoughts become convictions, persecutions will arise.
They had to flee to a country that wasn't ruled by the Church of England because they were truly persecuted. Children like you watch their fathers being dragged off to jail. Even mothers and little children were arrested by soldiers. Then they were left with no home, in the cold, and nowhere to go after their first attempt to leave the country.
Wow, just for trying to leave the church?
They were so brave.
They were. And one of those brave souls at that time was a youth, a young man named William Bradford. And we know from his writings what their first trip across the English Channel was like.
Afterward, we endured a fearful storm at sea, and it was 14 days or more before we saw a port. In 7 of those days, we saw neither sun nor moon nor stars, and were driven near the coast of Norway. The sailors themselves often despaired, and once with shrieks and cries gave over all, as if the ship had foundered and were sinking without hope of recovery. But when man's hope and help wholly failed, we cried out to God, and there appeared the Lord's power and mercy to save us. For the ship rose again, and this gave the crew courage to manage her.
Now, let's go back and imagine what life was like for some of those first separatists.
By the providence of God, the sun shines brightly, though the air be cold.
A welcome blessing for wash day.
I wish I could wash all the grime and the memories of that awful prison from our very souls. I can still close my eyes and smell the foul stench of that prison air. Our poor children. But our wonderful God delivered us. I believe all suffering is beneficial if it causes gratitude to well up in our hearts for our Creator and forms a bond of love with one another.
It is true. Oh, that he would continue to deliver us. I think of my husband and the other men, and I wonder if they made it to Holland safely. I hope we can be reunited soon.
We will continue to pray. They are in the hands of a merciful God. Remember what our Lord said? If they persecute me, they will persecute you also. But we know we belong to the Lord, and He will help us. Look at what He's delivered us from thus far.
So thankful for your friendship. I don't know what we would do without each other. I wonder when the children will be coming.
Shouldn't be too long. I think I hear voices.
We're almost there. Mother said she'd be on the other side of the creek.
On the other side? How we get across? I am way too cold to walk barefoot. Besides, that looks dangerous.
We'll make stepping stones.
What's that?
It's like making a path across the water. We have to take big steps from one rock to the next. First, we have to find a place in the stream that's easier to get across. This spot looks pretty good. Let's put this big rock right there.
Is this a good rock for the next spot?
That looks pretty flat. Let's try it.
Step by step, trial by trial, victory to victory. We press on, we will make it to the other side, to the other side.
Oh, I'm so chill. I worry for my children. They really don't have enough warm clothes.
Yes, but we survived our time of imprisonment. It's the chill of those stone-cold prison walls still in our bones. But we have the warmth of spring in our hearts.
We made it across.
See, that's how it is with stepping stones. Each one takes you a little bit further.
You made it, children.
We got across the creek without getting wet.
We made stepping stones.
Good. Now someone else will be able to cross in the same manner. Here, you start wringing this out, and I'll keep washing.
Mother, I am so cold.
I know, child, but if you work quick, you'll warm up.
Maybe we can sing a song while we work. That passes the time by quicker.
Working together, everyone, heart to heart we're bound. Working together, everyone, heart to heart we're bound. Hearts
desire to follow the Lord would have brought us into such times in our lives.
The scriptures do say we will suffer as he suffered. I know. I never would have thought in my earlier years that our blessed hope in the Lord would lead us to sell everything we owned to buy a passage to Holland for all of us.
A passage that ended in our husbands being jailed.
Yes, and I wondered if my husband's zeal would be quenched. Would he continue in our quest for freedom to live our lives according to our convictions? He was ready to start all over again. I've lived with much, and I've lived with little. Now, we learn to live with nothing.
It is true, but what we have, no one can take from us.
That is right. The deep bond of love we've formed with one another is worth more to me than any earthly possession.
I bring good news!
Oh, Master Brewster.
I received a letter from Master Bradford. He and the 17 other men have all arrived safely in Holland.
Woo!
Though they were almost drowned by a treacherous storm. It was a storm such that the saltiest sailor had never known. Their ship was almost seized by the depths. But now they are delivered by the hand of our Lord.
Oh, my husband, he's safe.
Praise be to God. He's alive and well. We will do everything we can to ensure that you and your children safely join him in Holland.
Mother, can we go be his father?
Soon, child. We may not see him for a while, but at least we know he's safe. It brings courage to know that our God is with us.
Yes. Here's some money that I made in the market today. Please, buy some warm clothing and food for you and your children.
Oh, Master Brewster, your needs are equally as great as ours. How can I repay you for your kindness?
The Lord will provide. He always does. Also, here's some dirty laundry from the young men. Please, they have no families to care for them.
Of course we'll take it, Master Brewster. Even though we be scattered, it makes us feel closer together to care for one another.
Yes, knowing we have the same heart makes the separation bearable.
Just so. And I'm making arrangements already. We're going to be reunited with our brothers in Amsterdam very soon.
May God be with you.
And you.
So, wonderful news, children. Okay, we're going to take the laundry now to the other side of the creek to the field over there to dry. Here. Here, though.
Step by step, trial by trial, victory to victory. We press on, we will make it to the other side, to the other side.
So did they ever make it to Holland?
They did. About 150 of their congregation, including women and children, eventually made the dangerous voyage to Leiden, reuniting friends and families after many months of separation.
And in Leiden, they were met with severe poverty. Under the care of John Robinson and William Brewster, their convictions continued to take shape and define their separatist faith.
They had a new start there, without the religious oppression of England. But after nearly a decade, still they did not find it a place worthy of planting themselves.
Why not?
Well, the language, the culture, the customs, everything there seemed to be working against the simple life of faith that they hoped for.
Do you know how it is when you try to cross a creek?
Yes, you have to use stepping stones.
That's right. So sometimes the stepping stones are different sizes. Some are big and solid, and you can stand there and help others across. But some are wobbly, and you have to quickly leap from one to another. Well, that's what Holland was for them. A kind of a stepping stone that you have to leap onto and then jump back off quickly. William Bradford wrote about their time there.
Some of our children were drawn away by evil examples into extravagant and dangerous courses. Our hope of a new life was in jeopardy. So we thought it better to dislodge ourselves in search of some place of better advantage and less danger, if any such place could be found.
Now just imagine living in Holland in great poverty. What would you do if you were living as they were?
Such loud partying, as if every day has no consequence. Oh, welcome home, dear. How was your day?
Oh, sorry I was delayed. It's all that partying in the streets and the drinking. And I am still unable to find any means of supporting us. I mean, beyond the fabric industry. We're paid so little there. Anyway, what have you prepared for supper?
Well, I found a few wilted vegetables and a potato to make a little bit of stew. It's quite brothy.
I know our Lord lived simply, but surely he never meant for his followers to live in such poverty.
True. But we are thankful. At least we aren't afraid of being imprisoned again.
That's true. It really is a blessing these Dutch have welcomed us in their country. Yet now we fear starvation. And with so little employment and such small wages. Hey, son.
How is a body supposed to thrive on that?
Oh, Matthew, don't talk like that. We will be thankful for the provisions we have.
Actually, I could provide better for myself by finding food in the market.
Where did you get that?
Oh, I've learned a few tricks from my friends.
Is my beloved son learning the ways of a thief?
Am I supposed to starve?
Son, is that apple worth more to you than having a good conscience? Or is a mouthful of fruit rather to be had than the good name our people have in the market?
It's so hard when we have so little.
Dear, it's bad company. These boys here in Holland know nothing of the word of our Lord, or how to conduct themselves accordingly, and he is drawn to them.
It's so true. He lacks ambition to be a follower of our Lord. We must command him in the ways of goodness and be patient with him.
Yes, and believe our Lord will help us.
Hey, son.
Did you hear? The Dutch are recruiting able young men right now to train for war. The Spanish are preparing for war, and we must be ready to defend ourselves.
Is that what all the commotion was out in the street?
Oh yes, they're having a great time out there. The young men are putting on one last party with their families before joining the army.
Oh, son, don't be drawn in by all that. It's up to the Dutch to fight the Spanish, not our Lord's own people.
But Father, I am Dutch, and if I could join their army, they would pay us far more than we could earn doing these menial jobs for the people.
You are not Dutch. And the Lord's own people don't make their living going to war.
All right. But Father, don't you see? We need to do something. Our life here is going nowhere. We can barely feed ourselves.
Our children are becoming part of another culture. Try as we might to keep our own. There's a battle raging for our lives. There's a struggle for our soul. If our vision does not reach the heart, the younger generation will fall. Liberty will not preserve us if there's inward slavery. But if our freedom is within, then truly we are free. Sword will not divide our friendship, chains will never bind our love. For these bonds are greater than the bonds of slavery.
So what did they do?
Well, they knew now they would have to go somewhere else. Somewhere where they were free to establish the life they wanted without so much outside influence and interference. They began making plans. They would go to
America?
America. That's right. Now, this was greatly opposed. Some people promised to help them and ended up going back on their promises. And at one point, what seemed like solid plans started to look bleak.
So after working many long and unreasonable hours, and don't forget, the children were also working those long hours, they were finally able to pay for a boat called the Speedwell to bring them to England, where then they would join the Mayflower and sail both ships to America, a new world.
And they hoped to keep the Speedwell with them there in America. And then they would have a way to fish and trade in the new land. So they set out. And soon, the Speedwell started taking in water. They had to turn back and fix the leak. They set out again. You know what? It happened again. They had to go back and fix the leak again. All the while, they were losing precious time and supplies.
So then finally they left the Speedwell for good. Some people also had to stay behind, and everyone else had to cram into the one good boat called the Mayflower. Now think of what it must have been like. 102 people crammed in a small room that was built for cargo, not for passengers.
And now, without the other boat coming with them, they knew they really were putting their lives in the hands of God. If anything happened to that ship, they were all going down with it. And it wouldn't stay in America with them. It would leave them there.
They were motivated by a great hope.
I think they believed that their cause had God's blessing upon it.
That's what they believed. This is how William Bradford said it.
All great and honorable actions are accompanied with great difficulties and must be both met and overcome with answerable courage. Our condition was not ordinary. Our calling, our ends good and honorable, our calling lawful and urgent. Therefore, we expected the blessing of God on our proceedings.
Well, they say we really are headed to America this time, and no turning back.
But that's what they said the last 2 times we headed out, and had to turn back, all for the sake of that leaky Speedwell.
We've already seen that this boat, the Mayflower, is very seaworthy. Without the Speedwell to trouble us, we should be able to make it across.
And just so, here we are in October, heading out into the winter storms. We don't know what's out there waiting for us, but there is no turning back.
How could we now stay another winter here in England? After all we've given to make this voyage.
And there are those who have chosen, after all of this, to stay behind.
But there isn't room for everyone on the Mayflower. There are 102 of us now, not including the sailors.
We'll make our way over when we can. Don't worry. Will we meet again in the New World?
We can't know.
It's with our deepest regrets that we say our farewells. It is true. Someone has to stay behind. William Bradford, you're more fit for this journey than I am.
If our Father grants us success.
Farewell.
Will this be our last goodbye?
May we see you again?
And may it not be long.
Yes, there are those of us who must stay behind, but won't rest until they've joined us.
Like Pastor Robinson and your dear older children.
How emotional it is to say goodbye.
Yes, the separation from my little son John is hard for me to bear. I feel as if I'm leaving a part of me behind.
Oh, Master Bradford, don't worry. If your son is anything like you, when he grows up, he'll let nothing stop him from making the voyage to join you.
May it be. May it be. And your older children, Jonathan and Fear.
Yes, may we be together again someday. We've done all we can, given all we can give for the hope of a new life.
That's right. Love. Love isn't love without self-sacrifice. Willingness to give all. Untying this rope is severing our final tie with England.
It's time to cast one last glance on England's fair shores and to cherish, for one final moment, the faces of our loved ones left behind.
Yes. 2 continents, like 2 stepping stones, and a vast, vast ocean between. You can't stay on one stepping stone for too long. You have to keep going. Oh, that the light of love could be carried across the ocean.
Where can the light of love be found? Willingness to give all, love that knows no limits, no end. A light that guides the way, shown in hearts bound as one, together once again. May the spark of light bring home. It must shine and carry on, shine and carry on. It must shine and carry on, shine and carry on.
So then, the voyage began. They were so full of hope for where they were going. Do you remember what time of year it was?
October.
That's right, you're paying attention. And that's headed into what kind of weather?
The winter storms of November and December.
That's right. What did William Bradford say about their voyage?
That their ends were good and honorable, and that they could expect the blessing of God upon it.
Right. So these people were so devoted to one another that the God of heaven took note. It seems as though he even sent his angels to guide that ship.
So there they were, out at sea. And after many days at sea with fair winds, A terrible storm seized the ship. There was nothing they could do but ride it out. A sudden surge slammed against the sides of the ship, straining the timbers to their breaking point. The main support beam buckled. They didn't know if the ship would even hold together long enough to make it through the storm. But gradually, the winds did subside. The storm passed, and there they were. Something had to be done to fix that broken beam.
Can you believe we're still with a boat beneath our feet?
I was sure the ocean would claim all of us. Yes, and with a boat so battered, it's truly a miracle we're still alive. Kind of like our lives.
Miracle will be again, if this beam can hold.
There was much debate. But in the end, Captain Jones is confident in the build of his ship, and that all is well below the waterline. As for the beam, will the great iron screw that we brought with us from Leiden, do you think that would be sufficient to support it and secure it in place?
Yes. Oh, and with this post, we could fasten the two together to secure it. Here, put that up there.
And by caulking the upper decks the best we can with what we have, we may lessen the heavy leaks.
Let's get a little more centered.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Good.
Yeah, crank it right up.
Here you go. That's the right way.
I need some help with this. I think we're getting close. I think that crack in the beam's closing a little bit.
Oh yeah.
One more turn. Right there.
That's very good.
Nice. It looks like it might hold. Amazing! The providence of God. He's ever mindful of us.
By our calculations, does the captain think that we're far off course?
I don't know to be exact, but much to the north. We're just pushing to make landfall as soon as possible.
Now, I want you to consider how close they came to disaster, yet their boat held together. Do you think the angels might have helped?
Yes. How else would it have held together?
So, after weeks at sea, a lookout man was watching, and he spotted a thin gray line on the horizon. He wondered, could it be land? He went back to tell the others. Soon the deck was crowded, everyone straining to catch a glimpse of the new world.
This was not the America that we live in today. They were met with a vast wilderness in wintertime. And you know how winter is around here. Very cold.
Right. Well, they made it. And all they could do now was bow their heads in thankfulness and gratitude for a safe journey across the ocean.
Weather-beaten and weary, they landed ashore. A desolate expanse lay before. No hands to wave a welcome, no arms to give a hug, but a stiff, cold wilderness and a gray sky above.
So their dangerous journey was over, but now it was just the very beginning of their life together on these shores. They could not come ashore right away. First, they had to scout the land and find a place that could be fit to live in.
Now, can you imagine the immense thankfulness that welled up in them when they set their feet on solid ground again?
The men spent many days going up and down the coast until they finally settled on a spot that would become Plymouth Colony. In hindsight, you could hardly say that it was the better advantage and less danger that Bradford wrote about, but they were pilgrims, and they were seeking a better country.
For that cause, we had prepared ourselves for the suffering and great difficulty ahead, both to be endured and overcome with answerable courage. When we had scarcely built one crude structure, we became ravaged by a great sickness that first terrible winter. Yet our lives were forged together through that immense hardship.
Picture yourself on that ship for weeks, tossed to and fro by a relentless storm, until you finally reach a new continent. There you are, huddled in the ship's hull, the cold December winds biting through all your layers. You're wet, shivering, and have no way to light a fire or to warm your body.
Why couldn't they just get off the ship and build a fire?
Where would they go? The men who were not deathly ill had worked to build a small shelter with a few hand tools they brought, while the rest were tending to the sick. But eventually, the ship's captain said the time had come for them all to stay ashore in that first small shelter.
We made it across the whole ocean safe and sound. But even that horrifying, dreadful storm did not crush us the way this sickness is gripping us in its firm hand.
And now that Captain Jones has ordered that everyone get off the ship, it is nothing short of a huge challenge to transport our meager rations and supplies from the ship.
Yes, but the warmth of the fire and the fresh air will do them good. What else can we do but care for one another? I will continue to do all I can do as long as I am able.
No, not you now. Here, let me take this.
Master Bradford, can you hand me that pitcher?
Yes.
Rose needs some fresh water.
Certainly.
I rinsed out the pail, but we'll have to make another trip to the creek for water.
Don't you women go fetch it. I can get it.
I will stay with your wife, Captain Standish.
Thank you.
Hannah, can you attend to Thomas?
Master Winslow, are you well? You haven't fallen ill now, have you?
I'm fine. I will just warm by the fire here for a moment. Is there anything I can help with while I'm here?
Thank you.
Mother, are you there? Mother, are you there? Please come to me.
We are caring for you.
Oh, Elizabeth. Yes. Here you are. The men returned weather-beaten and weary, and I'm afraid empty-handed. But here's a little bit of biscuits and some salted fish. Thank you. Have you had anything to eat? I'll be fine until morning.
Oh, Rose, I'm back. Is there anything I could do to comfort you?
To have you by me.
And you by me.
Priscilla, you should not be here. You're so weak yourself.
But what would you have me do? Turn my eye from these pitiful souls? I cannot.
How does the progress go on the next building?
It's nearly finished. There's a fine fire going. Some of y'all who haven't slept in days should get some rest away from the sick.
Good. I will tell the others.
We can hardly let sleep come to us. We see all our companions in such travail.
Captain Standish, your care for those of us who fall into such a low and humble position shall not soon be forgotten.
Oh! Rose!
What is it?
Don't leave us!
What is it?
It's Rose!
Oh, Rose! I wanted you by my side! No!
Wanted you by my side, my love. But now you're gone and forever carry on. I'll turn and face this life on my own. And in your love I'll forever carry on. Carry on. Carry on. Ooh, forever carry on. Carry on. Carry on. Ooh, forever carry on.
Who would know the perils that would befall us on these distant shores? I know your pain and the loss of my own Dorothy. Yet, my soul is knit to yours.
Unlikely friends. We have become brothers born for adversity.
Yes, their suffering, their loss was great. But they had a hope to keep them going. They had miraculously survived their journey, and now they began the long, hard work of building their new life. During their trials in Europe, before they came over, something very significant was happening here in America. A most special man who was just and fair in all of his doings was gaining power as a great Native American chief.
Was it Massasoit?
Yes, it was Massasoit. His goodness and virtuous nature earned him the loyalty of many tribes.
Here, read what Mahabamock said to Edward Winslow about him.
Massasoit did not lie. He was not bloody or cruel like others. He quickly turned from anger and easily made peace with those who offended him. He would not scorn the advice of those lower in rank than him. He governed his men better by love than others do by fear. He was truly loyal to all those who offended him.
That was the testimony of the natives about their king, Massasoit.
Do you think it's possible that the storm was sent to blow the Mayflower towards the shores of Cape Cod, where a place of safety awaited them? Maybe that the God of heaven had even prepared Massasoit's heart to receive them.
Few of us can relate to the hardships that they faced in that wilderness. By the time that first winter was over, half of them had been claimed by that terrible sickness.
Sometimes I have this strange feeling like I'm being watched. I don't know. Is it a wild animal?
Or is it one of those Indians?
I often feel the same way, but when I look around, nobody's there. Maybe it's just God?
I hope and pray.
The natives were watching closely. They saw that the newcomers were weak and few in number.
King Massasoit say to watch, only watch. They have women and children. They look hungry.
We help them.
Chief Massasoit sensed something special about these strangers when he saw women and small children striving to survive in a land that was so strange and unfamiliar to them.
Eventually, they would meet. Massasoit sent Samoset, who knew some English, to welcome them. He was cautious, not one to make rash decisions. One day, there they were working, and suddenly they saw a native approaching.
Welcome.
He speaks English.
He's friendly. Amazing.
We help you.
What a blessing.
And here is where two stories meet. This was a climactic moment for both the Pilgrim separatists and the natives. Everything that had happened up until that time was preparing them both for this meeting. Just think about the relief that washed over Bradford's soul when he heard that comforting greeting, welcome, and the deep confirmation in his heart that the blessing of the Almighty was truly upon them.
The next year was a prosperous one for them. The natives taught them many of the skills they needed to survive, lessons that truly saved their lives. Their health was largely restored, and they all worked together in a common garden, which brought forth a bountiful harvest. That bountiful harvest gave forth to what we now remember as the first Thanksgiving.
I see it and taste it from this good soil it springs, and what a joy it brings! The wonder of creation is speaking its message to all of those who hear. Their praises fill the air. Praises for the sunrise, praises for the autumn rain, praises for the miracle of life that sprouts again. Yet a greater wonder than the harvest he's prepared is our life together with lots of things to share. Bonds are made, friendships grow through the winter storms that blow, through the loss, through the pain, holding on to what remains. Bonds are made, friendships grow through the winter storms that blow, through the loss, through the pain, holding on to what remains.
Many hands make light work, and a joyful heart is good medicine.
It's the joy of being together and caring for one another.
We have so much produce from our common garden.
A harvest we can all share together.
With such a bountiful harvest, we must acknowledge the blessing of our God on our labors.
Yes, and let it be a time of thanksgiving.
Joy fills our hearts with the light of blessing, for all our Maker has done. Joy fills our mouths with the word of thanksgiving. Joy fills the air with a song.
Their gardens were prosperous, but the demands of love came ever more upon them.
You see, new arrivals crossed the ocean to join them, and they were there just about 1 month later.
They must have been so happy to finally see more of their people from England.
Just the help they needed.
Well, hardly, with scarce supplies and almost no food and more settlers to care for, their charity and kindness were sorely tested. Their rations were reduced to a mere handful of corn kernels a day.
1 handful of kernels a day?
Yes, along with whatever game they could catch.
And not all of these new arrivals were separatists like them. Some of them were debtors or adventurers, and they had no interest in their faith or in living a life patterned after the first church.
So then, after their first winter of near starvation, the people were urgent that a better plan must be made if they were going to survive yet another winter. They pleaded with the governor that he should agree that each one should provide for themselves and their family and not be required to work in the common garden.
So they all had their own gardens now?
They didn't share everything in common?
Sadly, no.
The earth did yield its crops, and I see it and taste it.
From this good soil it springs, and what a joy it brings.
Glorious day, isn't it?
It certainly is. It makes the labors pass so much more pleasantly.
It can be quite hard to keep after all these weeds.
Yes, and we must be thorough in digging them out. We can't afford to let them get ahead of us and destroy our crops.
Yes. Remember that time that our crops almost died because there was no rain? And Governor Bradford called a day of prayer? The whole colony came together, our church brethren and strangers alike.
And every man prayed as fervently as his brother.
How could anyone forget that night? We stood in awe watching those clouds come rolling in as the sun sank below the horizon. Surely we felt the providence of God upon us.
Oh, those were the good days, weren't they?
Oh, and the hard days.
It's like our time in England was to prepare us for our time in Holland, and our time in Holland for the joys and the sorrows we have here.
Like stepping stones.
Did you say stepping stones?
Like the ones we used to place across the creek to get from one side to the other.
Each trial is to prepare us for the next one.
Remember that song we used to sing when we all worked together?
Working together, everyone, heart to heart we're bound. Working together, everyone, heart to heart we're bound. Hearts set on pilgrimage, longing to be reunited once again, soon to be free.
We were pilgrims looking for a better home. Would we have known then the trials we would face to establish a life here free from tyranny and oppression? Perhaps we would not have crossed that ocean.
Well, this is home now, and we must tend to all our duties. Good day.
Good day.
Good day, gentlemen.
Good day.
Your gardens produce much.
We could not have done it without you.
Yes, and our friends, or savages as we thought them to be, have turned out to be our greatest allies.
Without their help, we wouldn't have even survived.
I feel more at ease in these woods than in the streets of England. Good day.
Good day. You know, James, even though our gardens are more prosperous now, sometimes I do miss working all together.
It's true. The fellowship we shared, all working together in the common garden, is gone as we labor alone now.
But you remember how some were willing to give all for the sake of others.
As sad as it is, the common garden wasn't enough motivation for all to give all. With every man growing his own produce now, all hands are very industrious. No one wants to face starvation again.
Our gardens tell the tale.
For now, it seems survival is our goal and occupation. It's better that way. Where can the light of love be found? Willingness to give all. Love that knows no limits, no end. A light that guides the way.
So the years went on. Plymouth would grow into a very prosperous colony. More and more settlers arrived from England, and the settlement became a mixture of all different types of people. William Bradford was re-elected year after year as governor, and because of what was in his heart to care for all, he often felt like he lived in two worlds. He still had a hope in his heart. He had a great desire that the love of God would be poured out so fully that he and his fellow believers could live just like the first church, sharing all things in common. But faced with the pressing realities of survival and growth, he had to ensure the colony's welfare and prosperity as each one went about making his own way.
Did William Bradford ever get to experience that fellowship again?
Sadly, those tight bonds of sweet communion were a thing of the past. He wrote about it in his journal.
Historians believe it was sometime after 1650, several years after he had last written in his journal. He was reading over what he had written before, and he came across something he had written in 1617. His heart was pierced with sadness as it spoke of how his people had once been. He wrote his lamenting thoughts in the margins of the page.
For we were a body in a most strict and sacred bond and covenant together. The violation of that bond was a serious matter, and in that bond we held one another strongly tied to care for each other's good and for the good of the whole. O sacred bond, whilst inviolably preserved, how sweet and precious were the fruits that flowed from the same. But when this fidelity decayed, when the faithfulness of our people decayed, then their ruin approached. Alas, the devil, that subtle serpent, slyly wound himself among us under such fair pretense as necessity to untwist those sacred bonds between us.
How precious was your fruit, the life we shared together, the fellowship we knew. Oh, could it be rekindled like a flame? Or could that fire be quenched? Could it fade away? Don't fade away.
story?
It seems sad in a way.
Well, the pain that he felt having to give way to the grim taskmaster of necessity, he hid away. There was no time to think of that with their survival at stake. But the ache and the doubt and the sorrow never did go away. It was sad for Bradford, but we know the story goes on. The hope that urged him on has been preserved down through the generations until the right time. There's one more part to this story.
In the midst of all of this, Governor Bradford's son, John, joined him in America and was growing up. He learned the ways of survival in the New World, and as they sat around the table in the evenings, he heard stories of those first trying years. When he heard about the sweet fellowship shared by all, when they humbly and gladly bore one another's burdens, John Bradford began to long for that same spark of hope, for that same life of love. Would it find a place in the New World to shine and carry on?
John Bradford.
Greetings, Master Allerton.
How's the progress on your house coming?
Well, it's nearly done. I am tried by the maintenance of all my works, tending to my garden, mending my linen, building my house, and even hunting for my own food. But the thought of having my own home and my own family with my soon-to-be wife, it spurs me on to work many long hours.
Yes, I know what you mean. I scarcely have a moment to enjoy it all. But you know, when I look at my garden and I see what's coming forth from it, I know that what I get is all that I've invested in it.
You know, I often find myself wondering about the days gone by. Carving out an existence here in this new world seems to consume every minute that the sun shines. As you know, by the time I arrived on these shores, the colony here was already growing rapidly. But my father, Governor Bradford, he told me many stories about those first years.
Oh, yes. So many of us died, and the rest of us were near to death so many times. It was only the providence of God that our endeavors have actually succeeded.
Yes, the endeavors to plant ourselves in this new colony, but not to restore the pattern of the primitive church. He speaks of those days not so much with the memory of the pain and the travail that was borne patiently by all, but more with a longing for those inseparable bonds of fellowship that they once shared together.
There's many stories. Like the night we saved the garden from the frost. It was one of those days we hardly had any nourishment, and we were all so weary.
He said if we cover these plants gently with these linens, then maybe we can save them from the frost.
Build a fire.
I can help you cover them.
One on each corner and one in the middle. The smoke will help keep the plants warm so they won't freeze.
We must tend to them all night to prevent damage.
I'll watch the fires with you.
Got one more fire to build right here. Wow, all of you worked so diligently today, with no thought for yourselves. May the Almighty bless our labors and spare our young crops.
That togetherness, that fellowship, devoid of self-interest, that is the life that my father speaks about. They Then the spark of life fills his eyes, and he begins to dream about days gone by. There are stories, so many stories, mostly from before I landed on these shores.
Yes. Like the time that we all worked together when the meeting house roof caught fire. January was about half over, and there was sick men lying all around the dirt floor around the fire. One morning, a spark flew up from the fire, and the next minute, the meeting house roof was in flames. The men stumbled out into the cold, sick as they were, grabbing buckets, running from the town creek to the meeting house, doing everything they could by their own free will to extinguish the flames for the sake of all.
Quick! Grab any kind of bucket you can find. If we hurry, we can extinguish the flames.
I'll climb on the roof. Pass me buckets.
Take this blanket to beat the flames.
I'll fill the bucket.
Here, I'll pass them.
Keep going. We can't lose our common house. We must do all we can, no matter what the cost.
The flames! They're diminishing!
You know, never heard even one mention of complaint. The self-sacrifice of your friends caused you to forget your own troubles. The next winter, our rations were really meager. And we would go fish for 5 days and catch one fish. And then we'd bring that fish happily back and share it with all. And not one person took more than their neighbor.
Wow. Somehow, I wish that those memories could be mine also. That must be the spark of hope that reignites in him when he remembers those days. Now you see that self-interest has brought prosperity, and each man thinks that he is deprived not to own an acre of land for every cow.
Well, it is a sad condition, but we must continue to carve ourselves out a place in this vast wilderness. You know, your father, Governor Bradford, he actually said that the way now is a much fitter course for us.
Yes. But will the sweet fruit of our love and our bonds be lost? The very gospel itself calls us to love and to serve one another. Even that each man ought not to look after his own needs, but after the needs of his brethren.
Well, for now, we must continue to establish this life in the new world. Good day, John.
Good day. Could it be that we are finally free from the tyranny and oppression of that corrupt church and government? Yes, somehow we cannot escape the inward slavery of living for ourselves. May it not be. Very well. Perhaps this dream, treasured as it is, be for another time.
My days grow short. My strength fails. As for now, I must leave my children with one last word. In my years young, in day of youth, God made known to me His truth, and called me from my native place to enjoy the means of grace. In wilderness in me guide, strange land for me to provide, in fear and want, in will and woe, a pilgrim has tried to and fro. In fear and want, in will and woe, a pilgrim has tried to and fro. Farewell, dear children, whom I love. Your better Father is above. When I am gone, He can supply. Him I leave when I die. Fear Him in truth, keep His ways, and He will bless you all your days. My days are spent, old age has come. My strength fails, my glass nearly run. My days are spent, old age has come. My strength fails, my glass nearly run. And I will wait when work is done until my change shall come. As one small candle may light 1,000, so may the light once kindled in my heart shine to many, even to many who are to come, that even through our failures, we could be as stepping stones to a generation still to come.
Father, you speak of being stepping stones for others to come. This speaks of hope, not of failure. It speaks of a future that we don't fully see yet. The day must come when that spark could reignite in the heart of another generation. Be comforted, Father. That day will come as a blessing upon your own life's labor. A labor that was certainly not in vain, Father. The love of God, it will burn in the hearts of a people.
John, it's enough. It's enough that we are stepping stones to others yet to come. It's enough.
The grace of providence must come and rekindle the flame that you speak of. The light of the love of God will shine brightly and carry on.
Where can the light of love be found? Willingness to give all. Love that knows no limits, no end. A light that guides the way. 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 A li
thanks. Today is Thanksgiving Day for us because every day is. That's what we do. We're thankful people. We're so thankful for all of you all. And we hope we made it clear, but it's worth emphasizing and repeating how thankful we are for those people in our story. Words can hardly describe it. We tried. Hopefully we got somewhere with it. But the amazing thing that was in their heart is very precious and very valuable. And it has to go on. We have to find a way that it wouldn't fade away. And that's what we do. That's why we're here. That's why we invited you all here. That's who we are. We want to be those people. We want to be that next step along the way. So thank you. Thank you all for coming.